The 119th Congress officially begins today. Republicans controlling both the House and the Senate for the first time in 5 years. The first order of business, voting on a speaker so lawmakers can be sworn in. However, Politico is reporting that current House Speaker Mike Johnson does not have the votes to keep his job. Johnson can only afford to lose one Republican vote. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie already doubling down on his no vote. Nonetheless, Johnson remaining positive about his chances. Here he is with Larry Kudlow yesterday.
I think it's going to be okay, Larry. We'll have maybe one no vote, I think. I think we get it done on the first round. Look, I'm a proven fighter. I'm a MAGA conservative, but I'm also someone who can get everyone in that broad array that we have in the House GOP to work together. And that's what's necessary in the days ahead.
Johnson meeting with members of the House Freedom Caucus Thursday who are reportedly seeking promises on spending cuts and assurances that all members will be involved in high-stakes negotiations. Still, some lawmakers are not ready to commit. Watch.
Are you undecided right now?
I will make a decision tomorrow. But we had a good meeting with the speaker, discuss some things. I think in a lot of things we agree.
I'm undecided.
What do you need to hear still?
We're talking about that now.
Can you be a little more specific?
No, I'm just going to tell you, it's the normal things y'all report on. Fiscal discipline, securing the border, pass reconciliation, pass Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, pass the 19 other appropriation bills on time.
Joining me now is Texas Congressman August Pfluger. He's the incoming chairman of the Republican Study Committee and a member of the House Homeland Security Committee. We're going to get to that leadership post in just a moment, Congressman. But let's start with what's going to happen and how this is going to play out today. I want to get your take on how this vote is going to play out. But also, the Hill spoke with one Republican Congress member off the record who said, we want a commitment to spending cuts, but we also want him to start using the members to negotiate these bills and what's going to be in these packages. Let the members work it out amongst each other, not the staff. This congressperson saying they are not sure how they're going to vote today. Your reaction?
Well, Cheryl, thanks for having me. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what the American public said very loud and clear on November 5th, the mandate to secure the border, to make sure our economy is strong, to get respect back on the world stage. So, you know, I think there are individual concerns and grievances, sure, but now it's time to come together. Now it's time to support Mike Johnson. There are no other alternatives. And anybody standing in the way at this point in time is actually standing in front of Trump saying, I don't care about your agenda and I don't care what the American public said. So let's find some solutions. Let's come together. And I think we're going to do that. I have full faith today that we're going to go on the House floor. We're going to affirm Mike Johnson. By the way, this is different than 2 years ago because on January 6th, just in a couple of days, we are going to certify Donald J. Trump's presidential election. And if we don't have a speaker by that point in time, we cannot do that.
Understood, Congressman. But the Hill says that they've got a dozen hardline House conservatives that are they're going to make these demands to the House Speaker. Again, less than 24 hours before this vote. So we'll see how this plays out today. Now, look, once this new speaker is elected, lawmakers will vote on changing the House rules to make it harder to remove a speaker. This new rule requires 9 lawmakers to introduce a motion to vacate instead of the current rule of just 1. Former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz used this process to oust former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy back in October of 23. The rule also states a member and their co-sponsors must be in the majority party, meaning only Republicans can introduce a vacate motion over the next 2 years, Congressman. Obviously, many Democratic House members have come out and they are opposed to this plan. Your reaction?
Well, they should be careful what they wish for. I think this is a good rule change. 9 members, I mean, you're talking about 4% of our body that has the ability to do that. I mean, that's a very small margin anyways. One person, as we saw in the last Congress, that could do that threw us into turmoil, which we don't need. I mean, this is a business show. I think people are watching, wanting our economy to be strong. They want us in Congress to give good indications that we are going to provide for the foundation, have a transparent and predictable horizon. And when you have one person who can oust a speaker that throws our country into turmoil, that's the chaos we don't need. So again, I think this is a good rule change, and I think we're on the right track to getting our country back into the health and into the strength that we know we can be.
Well, and I think, yes, we are a business program, and this has to do with budget cuts and spending and, the reconciliation packages and how are you going to get things done, in particular, whether it is the border or in particular how to deal with more than $36 trillion in debt and how DOJ's recommendations are going to play into all of this. So there's a lot that's going to be coming once the certification process of the election, which hopefully is Monday, will be done. So let's talk about your role in Homeland Security because of this briefing yesterday. I want to, what you can tell me, what you can't, I understand. But the FBI did brief you and your colleagues on the committee, as well as Louisiana lawmakers yesterday, on the New Orleans terror attack. Now, the FBI reportedly told you the suspect was not on the terror watch list prior to the attack. Separately, the FBI told the New York Post there was nothing on their radar either, Congressman. What can you tell us about this briefing?
Well, what we can learn from this is that this was not an individual who was actually on anyone's radar, there was no indications. He didn't have a criminal history. But somehow he was radicalized, and we need to take that for what it is. When I sat there and asked Christopher Wray last year, are there people inside the United States who are at large that match the terror watch list? And he answered affirmatively, those are the people that we've been worried about. That's why it's so important that we get busy with President Trump's agenda, that we close the border down, that we actually get serious, because the Biden administration was not serious. There are people inside the United States who do affiliate with terror organizations like ISIS that we know about. We have to get them out of our country. This was not one person who was there. Obviously, we want to see the forensics of his devices, phones, computers, to understand how he was radicalized. But it's time we get serious about securing our country and securing our borders.
Was there any questions yesterday, Congressman, about how this was initially handled? There is a lot of criticism right now on social media and coming from lawmakers like Senator Marsha Blackburn about how the FBI has handled this investigation. In particular, when you have the press conference going on the day of the attack in New Orleans and the FBI leadership in the New Orleans office says this is not a terrorist attack. The mayor comes out and says, yes, this is an attack. I mean, so many questions. Why was the FBI not at the home of the suspect in New Orleans, until after a reporter was at the home? Did that come up at all?
Yeah, I think those are valid questions. And of course, you've seen many instances of reporting already where the FBI didn't say that it was a terror attack. They said it was something else. Well, that's not true. But going forward, I think the American public is going to demand transparency. We want to know that we can trust these institutions, and we're going to keep asking these hard questions. We're going to keep asking the FBI, the CIA, other agencies hard questions to be transparent and tell the truth. And again, I think Americans should demand better of our institutions, that we can handle the truth. We can handle mistakes, but what we can't handle is deception. And I don't think that this is a case of deception at this point in time. But we do need the FBI to come forward to tell us everything they know, and we need a plan to go forward to prevent this from ever happening again. And my heart just goes out to those victims. This is just a senseless tragedy.
Yeah, no, agreed, certainly. Well, there is a lot of business ahead for you and your colleagues, Congressman. Thank you very much for being with us on this first day of the 119th Congress. Congressman,
thank you so much.
Congressman Pfluger, thank you, sir.